Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I'm your host, Jared Bachman-Stubbs, and joining me, as always, is your resident Green Lantern Professor, Travis Grossman.
I need this.
He needs that. We all need it. And we are joined by a special returning guest, Armin from ComicBookCast.
And I need this. This is, for anybody wondering, it's the 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 everything alternative, so I can drink all of them and lose weight. So it's important.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That is a sleeker looking can than I think they ever should have made. Like the black on the red,
Yeah.
like that's just really pretty on the eyes.
It's real good. That's why I got it.
Yeah, it's just Coke. Do everything to look that cool looking. We have a light show for you guys this week. We got Titans. We got What If, which is to be expected. I'm just now realizing I put 2 F's in What If because I was typing on my brick computer.
Oh, see, this is one of those what if, like it's like, well, we're not as good at speculating.
I'm so mad I didn't see that because it would have been in my name.
I know. I was surprised, like looking down. I was like, Travis didn't clown me. But we do have a really cool, exciting announcement that happened at Gamescom, and is part of the reason why Armin is joining us today. We got announcement for Marvel's Midnight Suns, a new turn-based tactical game coming from 2K. Yeah, so Armin, I'm going to give the floor to you. What the hell are the Midnight Suns?
So
for the uninitiated,
there's a couple of different iterations of the Midnight Suns, really. You'll probably notice in the title, it's the Midnight Suns as in the sun and not the sons, like, male sons. And I think that's quite clearly deliberate here because they're trying to change up the marketing, because if we look at it, they have like a Nico from the Runaways in the trailer, which makes me think that watching all the interviews and everything they're doing, they're going to rebuild the Midnight Suns for this universe. And essentially what you have is what I would call Z-list class of heroes led by A-listers such as Morbius and Blade, if you can believe that that's the big names in the Midnight Suns. And it's more about the things that happen behind the scenes that you're not aware of in the Marvel Universe. Captain America's fighting the Red Skull and Baron Zemo. Iron Man's fighting Living Laser or whoever. The Midnight Suns are fighting for literally control of the underworld, fighting the devil, trying to keep order and chaos in check, secret organizations. It's really good stuff that I love as somebody who loves like vampires and, like iconography and all that type of lore. It's all brought into one universe where the Midnight Suns are like, we might not see eye to eye, but if Mephisto shows up again, we got to fight this dude together. So it's just unite. And it's a story that's been going on for like 30 plus years. It's expanded into, believe it or not, it's actually set in our world as well. Like there's a continuity of it that takes place in our world. It's kind of insane, but it's complex and dark. It's just a good time for Marvel, in my opinion. I know it's not for everybody because it is the occult again and like witchcraft and stuff. But to me, as somebody who's from Eastern Europe, that stuff is legit, like written for me. So yeah, it's good. So I'm excited to see what the game is going to do with that idea.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that, and especially like the team. It looks like they're throwing us. I would be surprised if this is not added on to via DLC in some way. But the lineup for the game, and again, as somebody who like like I know that like my understanding and knowledge of the Midnight Suns pretty much stops at this is the we deal with the magic guys.
Mhm.
Like we deal with the supernatural. I know that is their capacity. This lineup's really interesting. I saw in the Facebook group, you might have been you who made the joke where like putting Iron Man on the Midnight Suns is like how they put Batman on the Justice League Dark, just as like a marketing tactic.
Yeah. You gotta have them in there to bring in the casuals, like the members that they added to the team, like Wolverine, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Iron Man. I'm like, really? I don't want these. I will buy a version of the game that I have to pay more for to not have them in my game, so I can play as all the losers. I'm being real with you. Like, give me Werewolf by Night, Jack Russell. Give me anybody. Like, give me Elsa Bloodstone or someone. I want the losers that are the Midnight Suns. But I get the marketing tactic. It's like, who's going to pay attention and be like, oh, a werewolf and a redhead with a gun, or Iron Man? It's like I get it. So
yeah, at the very least, I really like these occult inspired outfits with like everyone's in the black and gold with like the runes and everything on their outfits. But the lineup we have in the trailer is going to be Doctor Strange, Nico Manuro.
Yep.
Cool. Wolverine, Magic, Ghost Rider, Blade, Cap, Captain Marvel, Iron Man, and the famous ones, like you said. I do want to say up top, I think the fact that this is maybe like the second or third time we've gotten a Marvel game in recent time where Marvel has not pretended that the X-Men don't exist.
Yeah.
With having both Wolverine and Magic present. It's a good sign. It makes me happy that we're getting back to like this actually being a fully fleshed out universe again. With that, Travis, your thoughts on the trailer?
I saw Midnight Sun reveal or whatever, and I thought it was an expansion for the Avengers game because I didn't watch any of the trailers or anything. I just saw the announcement. Went, oh, okay, it's probably some new expansion for Avengers. Whatever, I don't care. And then you put it in the notes, and I'm like, this must not be that because we wouldn't be talking about it otherwise. It looks cool. Like, I don't know a lot about this story, and it looks cool. I'm wondering, it's apparently that we're getting a gameplay reveal in like 2 days, according to the website.
Yeah, naturally, out of cycle with the show.
Of course, that's how it goes. We know, we all know that by now. After our show drops, that's when the news hits.
Yep. Whenever I was watching the live premiere of your last show, Armin, that I was on, there was somebody in the comments who was like very upset that we weren't talking about Midnight Suns, and I like replied to them in the comments. I was like, time has passed. We recorded this an hour before the trailer dropped.
Yeah,
like we missed it by a matter of hours. Like, chill out. He will be talking about it very soon.
Yeah.
This is made by this is made by the guys who make XCOM, and I'm curious if it's going to play at all like XCOM. So, I think Marvel XCOM would be really cool. So
I'm not familiar with XCOM. Like, I recognize the name, but
basically you play it for several hours and lose a bunch because the game's really hard, and then they have to make the canonical ending of the game that everyone died because no one could beat it.
It's
okay.
I'm a PC gamer, hardcore PC gamer, have been my entire life. So XCOM is very close to my heart as a series I love. And it's one of those games, you get generic, like customly randomized like characters tossed at you into your squad. You can make some. You go, you lose, you redo the mission, you'll get better if you win. If you survive, your characters are injured for a certain amount, they can be killed off. You're probably not going to kill off Iron Man or somebody in this. They'll get tragically injured or something. And I assume there's certain characters in this, like, that there's going to be certain things you have to do. Like, for example, you mentioned Nico Miruko as a character, right? Like, she's she has the staff you see in the trailer, the Staff of One. What I like about her is that staff. It's called the Staff of One because any spell she casts, it literally uses her blood and her magic, and she can only cast it once, which makes me think that in the terms of XCOM universe, how it's strategy oriented in a grid-based system, if they put that in there, you're going to have spells you can only use as her once. And then it's like, hey, if you use this spell to make something explode, you used it at the wrong time, which makes me think that this game will probably have a little bit more deeper approach than a standard just beat 'em up Ultimate Alliance style, which I love the last Ultimate Alliance, but I want more depth. And knowing XCOM as much as I do and playing it, I'm really excited to see what they bring with this, because I love that type of strategy game where it's like you got a grid-based system, set your team up, execute, and all that. And they said it's going to be a little more RPG and action-packed, which makes me think it's not so much XCOM that's going to blow people's minds, because the deeper you get into XCOM, it gets really complex and hard. So you got to streamline it for, again, no disrespect, but you got to streamline it for the guy that's picking it up because Iron Man and Wolverine are on the cover. So I'm all up for it.
Yeah. I did do a little bit of reading about the Midnight Suns game, and I did see something about how they aren't including the permadeath. That like what you were saying, like, you know, if Iron Man gets KO'd in level 1, eventually you will be able to play Tony again. It's just not going to be instantaneous. I'm assuming there like will be, you know, if Cap gets down, you can't use Cap for a hot minute.
Right.
I also think it's interesting just in the realm of like interconnectivity, that it looks like the game is, you know, it doesn't look like, it says that it's based around the Darkhold as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not uncommon for Marvel to try to be like, okay, we're going to do a little sprinkle here, sprinkle here.
Yeah.
Because we know what you're coming for. We know you're coming for the movies and now the TV shows. So I think it's interesting that they're trying to, you know, kind of prep people for what the Darkhold is capable of. You know, like, you know, my tinfoil hat's coming on immediately with this one, that like this is prep.
Oh yeah.
In some way, shape, or form, story wise.
It has to be 100%, because like if you look at the Darkhold, it's like, okay, what does that connect to? Atlantis, okay, Blade and Dracula, okay, Werewolf by Night, okay, Man-Thing, like it's everything that they're setting up in the MCU conveniently falls into the Darkhold, which conveniently falls into this game, and you're like, I kind of see how you're approaching this. So yeah, there's a lot here. One thing that struck me interesting was kind of shocking. They're like, oh, you're not actually playing as all these characters. I mean, you will during the game, but your central character is a new character called the Hunter, and you like create them yourselves. And I'm like, that's the XCOM approach I think I like, because I can see that they're going to give you like a pull down power set. They're like, oh, do you want to shoot fire? Cool, here you go. And then you got the pyrotechnic, you know, and you can mix and match. And I like that type of approach with it. So I hope in the gameplay trailer they reveal more of that, because like I know what Iron Man gives me. I know what Wolverine gives me. I know what Doctor Strange will give me. What do I give myself as powers, right? Like, what am I borrowing from? That interests me a lot. Like, how does my character fall into this, and what's their whole, I guess, purpose of being there? Because apparently they're very important as the Hunter.
Yeah. I'm very excited for it. This is going to be one I'm looking forward to playing very much. Armin, while we still have you, and if nobody has anything else on Midnight Suns, I'm going to do TV talk in a different order this time. Armin, how have you been enjoying Titans so far?
Hold on. Okay, there's no snipers. I'm liking season 3. just waiting for the bullet to fly in. Kevin Feige didn't send me to check on time, so I can like something else now. But no, legit though.
I'm so glad you got your video to work for this episode so that you could do that bit.
Right.
But yeah, you're liking it so far. I enjoyed. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I enjoyed the first 3 episodes as like this is fun trash TV. Episode 4 made me want to walk into incoming traffic. And this one, I was like, this is okay. Like surprise, surprise, I think this is the best that Bruce has ever been written in this show.
Yeah.
So I was able to be like,
A failing
yes.
grade does not mean it's good. Like, just because it's a 61 instead of a 60 doesn't mean it's good.
I know, but me who was going into it because I like the Bat Family stuff, like seeing Bruce not be absolutely portrayed as a bloodthirsty bastard, and like seeing Bruce like look at Jason and go, "This isn't
Be
good for
competent
you." And I
fool.
love you.
I mean,
the incompetence, yes, but he's actually acting like Bruce, like acting like a nice father.
I will agree, like, to enjoy season 3 for as much as I'm enjoying it, which is more than season 1 and 2. I think that's important to say for my part. There's a lot of problems where they have written some major issues in with the characters. Like the way Bruce acts is very off to me, and I had to go into it going, look, this is Titans, which clearly meant to, as they booted off that universe, you will look at those early trailers and announcements. They were going to straddle the line of we're Zack Snyder's Titans, but no Zack Snyder attached. And then they pivoted so hard that they're pigeonholed into this universe that they're trying to undo. And Bruce acts almost so unhuman that you have to stop and think for a second, being like, does this guy actually have any emotion? Like it's almost scary. And some of that is the writing, but I think some of that is the fault of the universe they set up where they're like, we're here now. What do? You can't pivot 100% away from it. So it is problematic.
Yeah,
Travis, you had a really good phrase that I want to like talk about, like the universe real quick and steal what you said before. And I think Travis put it perfectly that like the Titans universe has the feel of Zack Snyder doing Schumacher.
Oh. I don't like that. That's a comparison that makes sense, though.
Because like it's that dark and gritty, but they want it to be kind of goofy. Like Crypto exists in this universe where Dick breaks people's bones for fun. Like I can't, and I have to agree with the like they're stuck and they can tell they're stuck and they don't know what to do. And so like I actually didn't hate episode 3 of season 3. I thought it was really good. I thought the beats with Hank were really good. And the problem with it was that the entire premise of the show makes no sense because Hank wants to go help Jason all of a sudden when none of them liked Jason.
Yeah.
Like, and talking about how this family, he becomes Vin Diesel. This family needs to save him or stop him, whatever. And it's like, you all like left in a huff after like none of you really liked each other.
They spent 2 seasons literally, we come together, we bicker, and then half of us leave, somebody gets abducted, we come together and repeat. And no, I agree with that. And I will also point out there's a major issue here with continuity. They firmly want us to know they exist in a DC universe where everybody exists. Like, oh, Aquaman exists. They all exist. Don't worry. And then you have this
I have a meeting in Metropolis. Luthor's up to something.
Right. You have this established through line of this bigger world. Bruce is going to Metropolis and all this. And then we learn that Superboy has been around for close to 6 months. Not once has he talked to Superman. Bruce has not been like, you want me to call Clark over so he could talk about his clone? No. Bring on Taylor from Superman and Lois. Have him play a different version of Superman. Just be like, hey, son, I know it's going to be hard, but maybe you should stick with these Titans here for a while I'm taking care of whatever in space. I'll be back. Write it in the show. Why isn't Superman? Why is nobody showing up? Like, Wonder Girl dies. Where's Wonder Woman? I don't know. Nobody knows. They don't even mention it. It's like what?
Wonder Woman is not at her funeral.
Yeah.
Diana just skips.
For such like, no,
I had brunch that day. I'm sorry I couldn't.
Yeah. It's for such a big universe that they're trying to plan. They're pretending like they're the MCU shows on Disney Plus. It's a very hollow universe with limited capabilities to go outside of what they're allowed. That's the weird part to me.
And it's funny too because there's this weight that comes with casting these DC characters. Like it was like, and Travis and I talked about this, like, you know, the onset of, okay, we're doing Red Hood. If we're gonna show Jason being killed by the Joker, y'all need to buckle down and cast a Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, pick a nobody, pick up Monahan, do something. You need someone to play the Joker, so this can actually be like a moment and not just be like quick cuts and like, and you know, like his death feels so hollow and feels so much like a gimme.
His death and resurrection lasts less than like what, 2 minutes? It's like,
yeah. Yeah, there's no time in between Jason being dead and the emergence of Red Hood, and you don't get anything between Jason and Joker when it happens because you just have, you know, again, because we're afraid to cast a Joker, we can't have any dialogue because we've not cast a Joker, and if we try to recycle anybody, it's going to be like, okay, how is this all connected? And so you just have Joker laughing hysterically while he beats Jason to death, and there's like no character there. Like Joker feels hollow.
Right. It's that whole, they didn't build it up properly because we don't have a Joker. Like, in my mind, because, spoiler alert, they kill off Joker because Bruce kills him in Arkham after Jason Todd is, you know, killed off. If they were going to do that for one scene, if the CW can get Mark Hamill back as the trickster, why didn't you bring back Joker as Mark Hamill as Joker in his old man age, and this is his final act of revenge against Batman? He kills a Robin finally. Or here's a better one. Troy Baker was a good Joker in Arkham Origins. Why didn't you get Troy Baker, dress him up as Joker, and have him do his thing? That would have been amazing, or a callback in something. It's like, instead we get a silo from 300 feet back and a canned Joker laugh that they recycle over and over. And it's like, oh, and then the next frame is Bruce is like, I killed them, Jason. I killed them. And then he's like, Bruce is gone too because they rid him out of the season. You're like, disappointing. For everything I like, there's an opposite version that I absolutely hate in this show. And that's kind of the story of the two different takes of it.
Inside you, there are two wolves. One of them is bad Titans. The other one is good Titans. But yeah, I mean, that said, with this episode, and Travis, I will absolutely give that ground. Yes, like Bruce is still written incredibly incompetently. Like, he is both this like robotic murder machine.
I think the bigger problem for me,
bad at being Batman.
Yeah, I think the bigger problem with me for that is, I think I said that backwards. Doesn't matter. The framing of all of this. And this is one of the things I always hate when this happens in the show. It happens frequently. What's happening makes sense in reference to the show, but not in reference to like the greater characters. What Jason is doing in this recent episode makes sense for the Jason Todd we have in this show, but it completely detracts from Jason Todd, the concept, right? Like, he has no agency as Red Hood.
Yeah.
Because like, he kind of went into this like before being Red Hood with an idea of, I'm going to break away and do this and work with Scarecrow, whatever. Where in, you know, the comics or any other medium where he exists, it's an accident, and then he gets brought back as an accident, and then he gets pissed at Bruce, and like everything he does after that is I'm trying to show Bruce the error of his ways.
Yeah. And that's also a major part of it as well that kind of like, it took me out of it. They're like, how do we bring him back? And the episode's called The Lazarus. And then coincidentally enough, they're like, in a quick piece of dialogue, not even Batman knew that there was a Lazarus pit underneath the floor of Arkham Asylum. I'm like, come on. Like, that was
we
very
didn't want to
lazy.
show Ra's al Ghul, so we had to name drop him twice and say he had a pit here.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the moment they showed like one of Ra's swords in Bruce's disappointingly small vault of Easter eggs,
I hated that. I hate the trophy case.
I hate the trophy. Like some of them I could live with, but like the fact that there's like the accoutrement of like every villain, like
It
let him
feels
keep
like
a Joker card or one
Yeah.
of Two-Face's coins. The fact that he has Selena's whip and mask,
it feels like the case from if the Christ on Infinite Earths crossover where they meet Kevin Conroy Batman, and he's been like keeping trophies of the ones he's murdered.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That's what it felt like.
It feels weird that Batman like kept the fear toxin. And like didn't immediately destroy it, or that it's not with the GCPD in some type of lockup. You know, like keeping Selena's mask and whip is like weird. Like like keeping Raish's sword, like okay. Like on some level, like it's a sword and it's cool to keep a sword. I don't know. Like I don't know where the line between the trophy taking gets weird and like egregious. But his like, and it was also such a small little vault. Like it's just like this little shelf. Like I could fit all that shit on that shelf right there. Like I just have to move the pizza box.
I think that also brings up an issue with the consistency of Gotham, because go back and watch the first season of Titans. Whenever they do flashbacks to Gotham, you get the sense that this is a neon lit city, cyberpunky city of the future, written with crime and craziness. Now we go to, they're like, we put a spider web in Vancouver. Is that good enough, guys? You're like, what happened? What happened? Come on, like it's cheap.
The way they talk about Gotham too doesn't make any sense. It's like, and it's the same problem I have with Batman. The show just really hates Batman and Gotham, right? Because they talk about it. It's like you said, Armin. It's this greater DC universe. All the characters exist. They're all active. We know they're active. But also the Batman is still like a myth among the general public, and nobody likes him. Like cops don't like him, and Gotham is by everyone's account this place where heroes go to get murdered, and this toxic place that infects you. When by this point it should be like very firmly under the Batman's protection.
Yeah, and like we said, like Gotham comes to a point where it's like, oh, this is where the non-powered but like really weird villains come from. Like the greater superhero community looks at Gotham and goes, "Man, I'm really glad that's not my problem." But Batman has it under control. Where it's like I can sure tell you, I would never want to have to deal with a poison ivy. I'm glad Bruce does. Like that type of vibe, and like it's more fun that way, because like, and again, like by this point, Panda Red on TikTok, great comics content creator on there, did this whole thing. Is like, what's your favorite type of Batman? He was talking about urban legend Batman, where like nobody quite knows whether or not he's real. The GCPD has the bat signal, maybe just to scare people, and but nobody knows if the Batman's actually real or not. My favorite Batman on paper is Batman at this point in any DC canon, where he should have an established family and friends, both outside of the Justice League and within the JL, that he's like he loves and that love him and help him kind of like recontextualize his mission, right? Mm-hmm. That like it's not about, oh, I want to strike fear, I want revenge. It's like, no, like I'm a protector. Like I'm here to protect people. I'm here to help people get better. Like I like by this point, this is a Batman, the kind of Batman who'd be trying to like get Clayface help.
No.
Right? Who's like, for the people who he knows he can help, who don't actually enjoy this type of shit, he can get them treated. He can help people. He can help lift parts of Gotham out of poverty with his infinite wealth. But like you said, like because they're so afraid to cast a Superman, to cast a Wonder Woman, we don't get to see those characters. We don't get to see Bruce grow at all. We don't get to see that, like, like he shouldn't be this far into his career and like be a toxic person to be around, like to the point where Dick is running from him. at the onset of the show.
To be fair, though, Dick is running from him because he wants to be a murderer, and Bruce keeps telling him no. So
that's fair. That's fair. I get cards on the table. Couldn't finish season 1 in my prep for this show. I just couldn't finish it.
That's fine.
And I couldn't tell if Bruce was trying to like stop Dick from going ape shit, or if Dick was like, I go ape shit because of Bruce.
And the show doesn't know either.
They will never resolve that and never touch upon it. Yeah.
Well, that's the funny part too. Like, because that's the whole thing in season 1 is like Bruce is infecting Dick with his like dark, like crime fighter mentality, and then the beginning of season 2 they talk for the first time. Right, that's the first time we see Bruce in like not a nightmare scene, and he's Alfred. Like, he's just talking like a sweet dad, going like, hey, look, I know you felt like you needed to go, and I'm really sorry. I never meant to push you the way I did. And like talking to him, it's like this talk he was having with Jason in this episode, but not like he believed Jason was a problem and was just trying to bench him. Because that was the problem I had with that scene, and it's the problem I had. The verbal argument he had with Dick in episode 1 was like, he should have the agency to push back on, like, oh, you think I'm a problem and you want to bench me, and instead of pausing and going, no, like, it's Bruce. He should have the agency to go like, no, idiot, I'm trying to help you so you don't end up like Dick.
Yeah.
And, that's another thing. You talk about the whole, those scenes and them also looking for help. What I hate is in season 1, it's very firmly established the Doom Patrol exists because Gar is from there. Like, he's from there. And there's plenty of Easter eggs that the other DC Universe shows at the time. Stargirl was going to be a part of that universe, Swamp Thing. So they were trying, and then they pulled off all the dialogue and everything. They pull it back. They go, don't worry about it. And it kind of just sits in this weird, what is this even? And with the whole thing with Bruce, you mentioned it. In the first season, he's like this spirit ghost flashback murder. I don't even know what's happening. Season 2, he's somewhat different. Season 3, I'm like, you lost the plot with Batman again? Like, didn't you have a direction here with his character and how he's kind of built up? And also, there's a major death, let's put it that way. I don't want to spoil it, in the 3rd season.
Oh, you can go for it. We're good.
Oh, okay.
We talk straight up.
They kill off Hawk. Hawk is killed off. And then we get one scene of Dove being like, I'm so sexy. I'm so sorry he died. All right, who are we beating up next? So I got to break some bones. I'm like, whoa, Whiplash, bro. Whiplash. Like, it's just like, get this moving. It's,
I'm so hot. I'm so sad.
That's literally the scene. Like,
the readiness with which they will take any character, the complete 180 of the stance they had 30 seconds ago, and Dove is the prime example of, like, she will routinely go, Dick, you need to stop being a brutal murderer. And then, like, one thing happens, like 30 seconds later, Dick, I know what I said. Go be a brutal murderer.
Yeah. The same thing happened, like, that whole episode. Like, as much as I was, like, impressed with how they handled Hawk's death, like, just the act of him dying and the heroes failed their mission type thing. Like, the way it's just so funny that, like, Hawk's like, yeah, I'm gonna go follow Jason. I'm gonna go kick his ass. I'm gonna kill him. And then, like, he gets completely bamboozled into stripping naked into this, like, cesspool. Literally, a cesspool.
Literally.
Like, just takes the bait completely. Within 30 seconds, gets his ass kicked, has a bomb shoved in his chest. And within 30 seconds, like, Hawk is like, Jason's a part of this family. And I let this happen. And immediately, like, even Dick is like, oh, I'm gonna get Jason. Like, exactly what you said. Like, it takes one little boop, for somebody to just go completely AWOL from their original stance. And it's hysterical.
Yep. I don't know. The writing is all over the place. And again, as somebody who's enjoying the season, I'm enjoying it from the point of it's not as good as Superman and Lois, and I don't think any DC show will be, honestly, but it's not the trash dumpster fire, like bukkake scenes from Flash. So at least it's got that going for it. So it's like in the middle of the two. It's like, but not quite here. You know, it's like you're trying at least. I could see it, but you're having some problems trying. So
yeah, the enjoyment I've been getting out of this, and like last week was hard. Like it was really bad. This week's I enjoyed. This week's might be my favorite of the season so far.
This
This
week, I had to accept that this is actually like one long DC what if, and it's just what if Jason Todd became Red Hood too early and too quickly.
yeah,
like, that's the only way I can accept, because like I don't remember his name, but the actor they have playing Jason is a fantastic young Jason, like young in his prime as Robin Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just something
he's so good in the role. Like I just that occurred to me today where I was like, you really are the perfect Jason Todd. Like he just has the vibe of like
he's got that face, so you're just like, you got it. You look like it, yeah.
And I just want to punch it, but like in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, well that like he feels like a Gen Z bad boy, and that's what a modern Red Hood would look like. Like he's gonna have like the curly hair. I'm surprised he doesn't have like a nose ring. Right?
Yeah.
Like truly, like that's what Gen Z Robin would look like. It's like that's it.
You know, you bring that up in the whole thing with him becoming a Red Hood too early. It's like, could you imagine if because originally there was plans to spin off Titans into other series, you know, possibly even a Batman series before everything went up in the air. I mean, could you imagine if maybe we got Jason and him working together for a season, so I got to care about his Robin? Instead, it was like, I had him for maybe half of last season, and half that season he spends saying F you and going on his own and doing his own thing to disobey Dick. And then he suddenly dies. I'm like, sure, I didn't care, but I guess now you have a painted Iron Man mask. That's cool.
Cool. Thank you for making the same joke I've been making, Armin. I feel very vindicated.
It is
right
what
now.
it is. It's there, man. That's what it is. That's the budget.
The costume budget went to buying a Marvel Legends helmet.
I'm glad to see my production values in this room are on par. I mean, look at the blur behind me that somehow appeared out of nowhere. It's essentially their out of focus scenes.
Honestly. Also, the one thing this episode really didn't do well for me was I like it. No, I don't actually like it, but it's a funny thing that I can't help but laugh at when a show that doesn't quite understand the aesthetics that it's playing with likes the idea of an aesthetic and like does a very hollow attempt at it. And like back 10 minutes where they decided abruptly they wanted to do some weird like flower power 60s psychedelic vibe for Scarecrow. And they had him do his stupid little dance while they were just like playing like 60s music and like doing weird like rainbow reflections off of the ground. It's like it's the most surface level lazy attempt at that like psychedelic vibe. It came off so cheap and so
They
stupid.
watched Joker and they had Scarecrow, which they were given, but not really Scarecrow, just Crane, because they don't want to use Scarecrow in his full. So they made him a 60s hippie, and they're like, okay, we can't license Pink Floyd, and we can't license anything that sounds like them, so what can we license? And they meshed the two together, but they don't understand when you're supposed to use Pink Floyd to make it meaningful, and they don't understand when you're supposed to do something like a Joker scene with a dance or a moment that makes sense. They had two ideas and they just said, make them work together and we'll do something with it. And you're like, you actually did nothing with it because it doesn't make sense. And their Scarecrow is just, man, Scarecrow is one of my like top 3 DC and Batman villains. So I will say I do not like it. It's just no.
I don't blame you. Like if they stopped at the whole like the one line where he's like, you know, like, give me my pot, and he's like, do you smoke weed now? He's like, yeah, it slows my brain down. Like if they stuck with that idea that like Crane uses weed as like a way to like in the same way most people use medicinal marijuana, where it's just that that cooling effect. Like that was like an interesting thing where I was like, this is neat. And the fact that he's like actively trying to slow this down gives me the vibe that like he legitimately wants to leave Scarecrow behind. But then it just turns into no, he's just a podhead and Scarecrow at the same time. Like he's just gonna walk into 7-Eleven in full Scarecrow garb and be like, I would like some Cheez-Its. Like, you know, and like that's how the scene's gonna go. And
have you been following me at 2 a.m.?
I would like some Baja Blast. But yeah, no, I'm super disappointed with Scarecrow, and I hate the shit that Scarecrow's pulling Red Hood's strings. Like it's just so stupid.
He has no agency, man. Like he
has zero agency. It's just
because Red Hood has the potential to be the like really like cringy anti-hero. You know, people get into him because he has guns and he wears a leather jacket, and like he can be written a lot better than that. Like in Under the Red Hood, he's written a lot better than that because he has agency for his actions and like everything he's doing at least kind of makes sense. And he's just doing stuff for Scarecrow. Like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And
but it's like, yeah, it's, I don't know. Like that was a weird twist. It's like you made him a lackey for a lackey. Like that's because Scarecrow's not a top tier villain. Let's be real here. Like he's always somebody else's foil. Like somebody else is using Scarecrow. That's always what he ends up being. And it's like, oh, now we got like this trickle down effect of just stupidity that goes with him. Again, it's that whole fear of, or not fear, embargo. You can't use the bigger universe. So here's what we're letting you work with. Meh.
And I will say it now, Joker's not dead. The fact that they introduced this like Lazarus pit beneath Arkham. If Bruce actually even killed the Joker,
I'm still waiting for someone to wake up.
And dunk him.
Yeah.
What?
I'm still waiting for somebody to wake up.
Oh yeah, you're still convinced it's all a dream sequence?
Because the dream sequence in the end of season 1 was Alfred died, Jason gets rigmarolled by a villain, and Bruce goes off the handle and kills the Joker. What has happened in this season? Alfred's died, Jace got rigmarolled by a villain, and Bruce has killed the Joker.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's going to wake up from a dream soon.
Travis, if you're right, I'm retiring. Like, I can't do this shit anymore.
That would be a good twist to make this really interesting. Being like, hey, remember those last 2 seasons? It's all been Scarecrow's long plan. You're like, oh, damn. Wow, they planned this one out. It's like, but no.
It's like Dallas, like, who shot JR. Just wakes up. Oh, honey, it was a horrible nightmare. I'm right here. If that's all we have for Titans, I mean, I know you have places. I don't want to keep you like at any moment. If you want to bow out, that's always up to you, my friend.
Well, that's fine. Well, I can finish talking Titans, and then I'll have to head out. So,
all right. Well, I was going to say if we're all good on Titans, we can move into a little bit of what if, and you can do a little what if up top, Armin, and then Boogie, because I know you gotta get.
I'll give you my quick take on what if. Third episode is out. That was the last, and then okay. So yeah. So what if episode 1, too safe. Episode 2. Not safe, but the familiar remixed. Okay, fine. I see what you did. T'Challa can convince even Thanos to be a good guy. I like it. Episode 3. That's what I want more of this series. That episode to me did it. It's like, check out how crazy Hank is. Check out this effect. Check out how this changed. Check out how the Hulk dies. I'm like, this is what I wanted. Like, don't just slightly remix. Go a little crazier. And I love it. I'm hoping that as the seasons go, because they're teasing past the 2nd season. Seems like they already have ideas for 3rd and 4th season.
Yeah.
By then, they're going to acquire other characters. I want, like, what if Iron Man was replaced by Werewolf by Night in an Iron Man suit? I'll be like, give me my money here. Give me all the hot toys. Like, that's going to be me. So I want just...
oh, you poor thing. Your poor wallet. Your poor wallet.
No, I like it. I really like what if. It's... it's becoming the series I wanted it to be after the first 2 episodes. So
Yeah, this is really cool. I like Travis and I had a brief conversation about this when we were recording Number One Contender, that using Fury's big week as this narrative device, that like they address it at the top of the show where it's like, Iron Man 2, Thor, Hulk, all happen in the same week. And like bringing anybody who was not aware of that fact up to speed so that they were prepared for the fact that like, here's what happens if all the dominoes fall. I really liked using the like Fury's big week as a narrative device. It was just a really clever way to like kind of section off the episode. And I'm right there with you. I loved last week's. T'Challa Lord was phenomenal. All of that stuff was great. It played really well. Good guy Thanos might be one of my favorite MCU characters now. I just really like him. Like I said last week, I'm not crazy, mad, belongs on a t-shirt, and I'll buy it. This week, it was bonkers. It was crazy. It was off the wall. I was not expecting the show to turn into a murder mystery for an episode, but it became a whodunit. And I messed around. I was late getting to the episode, so I did get spoiled on whom the assassin was. But I enjoyed watching it knowing.
It actually didn't take away anything. It actually added more to the mystery being a cow. I did like that, yeah. Like
knowing it, I was like there were a couple of them that I was like, well, how did he do that? Like with Iron Man. Like when he waxed Tony in the donut shop, I was like, well, how did Hank do that? But like the other ones were like Hawkeye accidentally just shoots an arrow through Thor's heart. Where I'm like, oh, you had to have been Hank.
Right. Yep.
To just, kind of go little and go, boop, and, send that shit flying into Thor. Really, really cool episode.
Good stuff. Well, I guess I said my piece. I talked about Titans. So thanks, guys, for having me on. Anytime you guys want to have me on again, just to let me know in advance. And, of course, I can come on if I could free up the time. So...
Absolutely. Course, it's always a pleasure, bud.
Always in reverse as well. So if you guys ever want to join, if there's a topic that you're itching to talk about, feel free to hit me up and we'll work it out. So
you should never extend that invitation because we're like one Spider-Man, Batman, or Star Wars story away from you getting a very all capitalized message on Facebook.
That's fine. That's fine. So thank you guys for having me.
No problem at all, my friend.
Thanks
Thank you
for
for coming on.
Yeah, you guys have a good one. Have fun talking about What If, and I'll see you all next time, I guess.
Will do, bruh.
Later.
And then there were two. Travis, thoughts on this week's What If?
First of all, nothing warms my heart more than when I have a take and our guest agrees with it.
Right?
It makes me really happy. So thank you, Armin. I also really enjoyed this episode of What If. I kind of not to the extent, but I agree with Armin in that the first two felt really safe compared to this.
Yeah.
They're basically all the contents of one movie, but shifted a little bit. And they've been getting progressively less safe because the first one is literally just first character swaps. The second one is there's some greater implications with Thanos and
the way it seems like the Collector has Hela's stuff. There's nuggets that aren't gonna be important in the long run. That it's what is going on here?
Well, because in that one they mentioned the Collector, when Thanos steps down, Collector sees a power vacuum and he fills it and buffs himself up and takes power of the criminal underworld for the galaxy, universe, whatever. This one felt like you said, just more dominoes were there. They just using more movies in one episode, right? When Steve fell in the first episode, I was like, are we gonna see Steve Rogers Winter Soldier?
That's what I thought. I thought they were going to Hydra Cap Steve, and that's how we were going to see Hydra Cap.
And like, that would have been really cool, but like they also didn't have the time to do that in one episode. But I enjoy the. I remember because I didn't watch it the day of. I watched like 2 days later, but I didn't get spoiled. But just hearing, and maybe we were talking about it, that it was like, oh yeah, what's this one? Like, what's the character swap or what's the thing? And whoever I was talking to went, oh, it's all the Avengers get murdered by a serial killer.
That's when the cannibalism started.
I need a 3-part series on Hank Pym.
Oh my God, I would love the last podcast on the left on Hank Pym. Speaking of which, I am like 3 for 3 the last times I've been in Walmart. I've seen someone in a last podcast on the left shirt. And I think that show's finally starting to blow up in this area and people are getting into it because of like, you know, it's the sticks. Of course, people are into like serial killers and the occult bullshit. I am so happy that's starting to get popular in this area. Like again, 3 for 3. I've seen 3 different people all wearing like the main podcast art for Last Pod.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me happy, as you were saying. I reminded myself with my joke.
But yeah, just the episode was really cool. I like that it wasn't a happy ending.
Yeah,
I like that it's just Loki.
Hopeful ending, though.
Loki taking over the Earth is a hopeful end. Oh wait, because they call Captain Marvel. Right, I forgot about that.
And they're gonna thaw out Steve.
Yeah. Yeah, I just this feels more because like we know we're getting Marvel Zombies, right? Yeah. So like this feels more in line with that.
Starring Winter Soldier and Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Yep. No, yeah, they are all getting weirder. I don't know if we know what this. I mean, it's out there somewhere as to what this week's is going to be. I'm
about to look it up.
Me too. Episode descriptions. Because, like, episodes. Charles Star-Lord, Lost Its Mightiest Heroes. Okay, that's not showing me anything else here. I don't remember where I saw before that they're all there. But looking at the cast again real quick, though, like, we are still due to see so many more characters. Like, a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I also like the stuff, pardon me, with Loki's takeover. I love that a lot because you can't quite tell if Earth just immediately subjected to him or like if he actually brokered a peace to take over the planet. And having seen Loki's softer, kinder side over the course of the Thor trilogy and the Loki show, I also liked seeing Loki, in my opinion, and granted, I often give the redeemed villains a little bit more credit than they're due. I liked seeing him kind of get ready for some scorched earth shit on Earth. Mm-hmm. That he was like, it seemed like he genuinely was like really fucked off that Thor was killed. Like, it felt like he was like, who did it? I want them now. And that he, like, and obviously, you know, like, he sends the Destroyer to kill Thor in his movie. And if Loki was successful, I think Loki would have immediately regretted it. Because I think that's who he is as a person. And seeing his plan work for him in a way he didn't intend, and the fact that he immediately is like, I want to know who killed my brother because y'all are all gonna die. That was a really great character moment for him. And the fact that he, in a very Loki way, was able to amalgamate, I want revenge for my brother, whom I love, and I regret creating a situation where they could die, with also I'm going to take over the planet. Like, Midgard is mine, but also this only happened because you guys killed my brother. I like that a lot as like a character thing for Loki. Also, seeing him team up with Nick Fury was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really
I did
cool
enjoy
fight.
that. Like the very first time he hits Hank, he's like, "You're kind of spry for somebody your age," and I was like, "Yeah, he is." Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, because at first he was like, "You're spry." At first I was just like, "Well, yeah, it's Nick Fury." You know, like at first I just like comic booked it away out of my head, and then like once the Nick Fury duplicates start popping up, I'm like, oh my god, he's tag teaming him with Loki, which was cool. I also liked Yellow Jacket Hank Pym.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. And it like, because at first I'm like, okay, but why is he going after the Avengers? Like, I get Tony, I get maybe even going after Fury individually, but the whole idea that like the whole concept of the Avengers is what led to a lot of people's deaths, and the implication that Hope was either on the Avengers initiative, or in this universe a SHIELD agent.
Yeah, it seems like the what if, the actual what if of the episode is what if Hope Van Dyne finds out about her mother before Ant-Man and signs on with
Yeah.
SHIELD from finding out. Like, that's the actual what if of the episode.
Yeah, and the ramification is she gets killed in the line of duty and Hank Pym goes off the rails.
Yeah.
Which, and that's a really good way of putting it. There was kind of like a hidden what if, or maybe there's like a second hidden what if inside the what if that gets us there. In the same way that, like, kind of at the last week's with T'Challa Star-Lord, that you can do the whole, like, yes, at its core, it's what if Yondu picked up T'Challa, but there's like 3 what ifs inside of that what if that becomes, what if Thanos became a good guy? Like, Thanos is a hero fighting for redemption, and also Ego won.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing stopping Ego now. Like, that Earth is gone. Like, that Earth is dead to rights. It just doesn't know it yet. And hopefully we revisit it in some capacity this season, because like I want to see what the hell happened.
I also like the concept in this recent episode that because obviously, like, they didn't know Captain Marvel was going to get made at the time, they couldn't reference Fury's past excursions with Captain Marvel. So showing that he was like ready to call her,
Yeah,
I think was really cool. In that, like, leading up to this point, he, I guess, was just like, nah, we can let her do space stuff.
yeah.
We got
This
our
is
own
not
team
this
here.
is not worthy of calling her right now. Yeah,
I
I like that a lot too, and I like the idea that I really badly, and these are one of those, like, you could only ever ask a writer, and maybe they could introduce it into a show. But I would really love to pick somebody's brain about at what point was Nick Fury ready to push the button on the beeper during the Battle of New York? Like, at what point was he going to be like was he going to let the Avengers die fighting Loki before he was like, all right, and we're calling Carol? Or was he, or like, did he have that much faith in the Avengers initiative? And that's one of those things that I love about Fury, especially as he's written in the MCU, is he's this cynical person who is full of hope. Like the hopeful cynic, that he is this very by the numbers, by the book. It's my way or the highway. We do things a certain way. I'm Nick Fury. I run shit. Da da da. Is also the guy who, like, at his core, is not going to give up the fight. He's never going to lay down his sword, and he always has the big gun that he can call in Carol, and I really like that. I really like that a lot about him, that we kind of retroactively get through the Captain Marvel movie and here, where it's like, oh, okay, I'm calling her. Okay, it's great. This episode's so goddamn fun. I can't wait for this week's. Were you able to find what this week's was?
No.
Okay, well then I will happily be surprised, or we'll find out whenever Marvel changes their Twitter banner, because they've been doing that, which is fun. Yeah. Any other thoughts, Travis?
I don't think so. I think that do be it.
All right. Well, that's the show this week. Travis, where can the lovely people find you, good friend?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Travis Political. Jared?
You certainly can. Yeah.
Someone's going to think their Spotify app is busted now. It's really funny. Where?
I have the same issue when I listen to Knowledge Fight and when they're playing Alex Jones clips, and he'll be really going for a while and he'll just stop and he'll do this really dramatic pause between his sentences. And I go to check to see if it's buffering or not. And just as I pull it out on my phone, he starts talking again.
I forgot to mention during Titans talk. This is not true, because it's not out of the realm of DC for the drug that Jason makes to actually be like an anti-fear toxin, but it's my headcanon that it's actually just meth. And I think maybe it's because of this past week's Behind the Bastards that I'm like, oh well, yeah, that makes sense. Meth is the fear killer. I need that on a shirt.
I'm done. You outro the show. God damn. Meth is the fear killer.
I came up with that on the spot.
We're gonna get you a shirt made with a picture of Timothy Chalamet's Paul Atreides, and just off to the side in the Dune font, meth is the fear killer.
It has the fucking cover of one of the books on the back of it. I want everyone to think it's a real Dune shirt until they look closer and realize.
Because the font and seeing Paul on it, no one's gonna blink. No one's gonna blink. Unless they actually read it. Meth is the fear killer. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I know that's not the case, but because of the Breaking Bad joke that Scarecrow made, my headcanon is he actually just taught Jason how to make meth and he doesn't realize it.
That's so he just taught him how to make meth. I hope you're right. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. Then you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com. I can't stop thinking. You need to put it in the chat right now and at Mike. Speaking of our website, if you're feeling generous, check out our Patreon. Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Case and Breon, goddamn, Feige's Broomer Burner, Lawful Wizard, Delta 9, Zach Canals, Michael Armburst, and Jared the Light Sith. Thank you also very much for your patronage. Be sure to consider the $5 tier, where we have our now not so original matchup of Darth Malik versus Mace Windu, because right before we uploaded it, it turns out he did Darth Malik versus Mace Windu as well. So you can compare and contrast the episodes at the $5 tier. Also, the TNAP Movie Club audio commentaries and Heroic History 101 when we get around to it. Click on the student store link for merch. Wear a t-shirt like this one. Got our logo on it. That fun stuff. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, rate, review, do all the things. Thank you so very much for joining us. Meth is the fear killer. And class dismissed.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!